going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Getting started on maybe the last 3, maybe 4 videos that I'm gonna do for this series. I've left off at with part 4 at Elmira Correctional Facility. I probably could have done another video just on that, but I really wanted to kind of keep things rolling here. So I'll pick up where I left off. So one of the worst things about being in prison is being on transit. And what that means, it means when you're freaking going from one facility to another. And the reason for that is you get all shackled up, cuffed and everything, and they put, most freaking handcuffs, chain links are pretty fucking short. So what they do is they put this fucking metal black box over it, so you can't move your fucking wrists or anything, freaking, and that's hooked to your waist chain, and freaking, oh man. It's inhumane as fuck. Like, the handcuffs freaking cut your wrists up. Like, you're in them for hours at a time. In this story, I was in them for 8 hours, and then in the next story, I was in them for over 13. And it sucks. And they give you like bag lunch. You can't eat like that. You can't even freaking bring your arms to your mouth. Like, if you're really that hungry and you're trying to fucking eat or drink something that way, you literally have to like bend yourself in like impossible freaking positions to do it. Like, it's a fucking mess. It's very fucking inhumane, especially in the fucking summertime. So, alright, so I'll start off on the day that I left Elmira. Well, I got put on the draft the day before that, and I found out where I was going. Like, they're not supposed to let you know where you're going, but I flipped a piece of paperwork up and saw I was going to Mohawk Correctional Facility, and that's out in Rome. And it's right next to the fucking the old Oneida Correctional Facility. That prison closed, oh fuck, probably 15 years ago, I think. And so if I was going to its neighbor Mohawk, and out of all the facilities I went through, I would have considered this place a fucking Boy Scout camp. Yeah, I really would. But I'll get to that in a minute. I'll get to my first day on transit. Alright, so the cage that I was telling you about in the last video, the when you first come into Elmira, you go back there, and there was a bunch of, like, 40 of us freaking crammed in this freaking one little cage. Freaking, it was fucking stupid. Like, they packed us in there like rats. Because to them, that's all we are fucking rats. Vermin. That's the way freaking that most of the freaking COs fucking treat you. It's just, it's just a fucking unfortunate, fact. Like, it's not a fucking joke. Like, things get fucking bad if you don't freaking watch your mouth or freaking know how to move right. So, anywho, we're all packed like freaking sardines or rats or whatever you want to call it in this freaking in this cage, and people were rolling up cigarettes and freaking passing them around, and the COs freaking told everybody to stop doing that. But motherfuckers just don't listen. So we probably went to the cage around like 8:30, 9 o'clock. Well, before we did, we all went to the draft room upstairs, where you where you grab like your property and shit like that and bring it down to like the big hauler cart for where your stuff goes on the bus. Freaking, when we were up in the draft room, there were these two dudes on my block that got into a beef, and they got into a fucking fight, and they got sprayed with fucking pepper spray, and the pepper spray freaking lingers and fucking goes everywhere within like a certain radius. It's nasty shit. It stings. You can't breathe. Freaking, like, honestly, people freaking got asthma and shit like that. Shit could probably fucking kill them. Yeah, like, that shit fucking sucks, especially when it's fucking hot as fuck and there's no air ventilation going in and out of this freaking room. So anyway, that happens, and then we fucking, grab all the property brags and freaking go down, march out right back out to the cage. And I said, while we were in the cage, people were rolling up and passing cigarettes around. CEOs told them to stop. They didn't listen. And so around 11:30, they started freaking chaining us and cuffing us up. And they did that on purpose because motherfuckers didn't listen about the freaking cigarettes. And so, you're from 11:30 to 4. The buses don't even start having people go on them until like 4 o'clock. So you're sitting in there a minute. Everybody's freaking miserable. It's hot. It really sucks. Pigs in a fucking slaughterhouse are probably treated better than that. Like, it's insane. So anyway, freaking spend a lot of time, in the cage, and then once the buses have arrived, you start, loading. Usually people go on like one of the big like Greyhound looking buses. It definitely don't look like a Greyhound bus inside of it, but on the outside it does. Well, I ended up going on a smaller one with me and my boy Jack. Freaking, they chained me and Jack together, and we hopped on this bus. The air conditioning was freaking perfect on it. The small buses have air conditioning, and so freaking damn medication keeps driving my mouth out. It drives me nuts. So me and Jack get on this bus, and there's only 3 other people on it. There's 3 guys coming from Attica, and they were going to Auburn. So we took the trip up to Auburn. And Auburn Correctional Facility is the oldest prison that's still operating in New York. Freaking, when we were pulling up to this place, there's just pretty much like a dark, even though it was a sunny day, there was just a dark cloud looming over this place. Freaking, and I'm thinking, damn man, they freaking fried somebody from the electric chair here for the first time. And so got in there, and we actually got a break from the freaking cups and box for about maybe 45 minutes. And then 2 Mohawk officers take me and Jack, put us in a van, and then we drive from Auburn to Mohawk and Rome, which really wasn't that bad of a stretch. Like, the officers got there pretty quick. I think we didn't get there until like 8:30 at night. So it's a long fucking day that you're in you're all shackled off. It's fucking miserable. So when you first arrive at a facility, you first go to medical, and this was during COVID, like peak COVID. Well, I don't know about peak, but yeah, it was still going on. So they swabbed us, and I ended up testing positive for it. And I didn't remember feeling sick, but I had a fever, and I felt really kind of like delirious in a way, I guess was the best way to describe it. Yeah, I tested positive for it, and Jack didn't. But since he was on the bus with me, we both had to quarantine for 10 days. I felt so bad because, like, I'm sure that was the last thing he wanted to fucking do. And it was. He told me at first he was pissed, but it is whatever. So I had to freaking spend 10 days inside of Walsh Correctional Facility. And what Walsh Correctional Facility is, it's a maximum security medical prison inside of Mohawk Prison. But it's completely freaking separate from Mohawk. The only thing that that's about the same is Mohawk inmates work there as janitors, which I ended up getting that job too before I went to college. So anyway, I had to spend 10 days in this freaking like hospital room cell. Freaking, it had a shower in it, that was nice. Freaking, but I like literally freaking nothing to do. I read. At first I only had one really old book, and then I ended up getting a newer book. It was about a New York City crack dealer. So I read that one, and then I ended up getting my hands on 2 copies of the New York Times, and I read those newspapers freaking like crazy. And then I was able to get my hands on a pen and some paper, so I wrote a letter. So 10 days, and the first weekend in there was fucking hot. The AC wasn't on. It was stuffy. Oh my god, it was miserable, absolutely miserable. And on my window, it was barred. And so I wanted to I tried to work out a little bit. Well, after I had that slip in Elmira that fucked my back up, like I couldn't work out the way that I did in county before that. But I made sure that I was tried pass the time and get back in shape. Freaking, so I put my knees on the windowsill of this window and I start doing curls on the bars. Just doing workout. And right across from my window was Mohawk's medical building, and outside on my picnic table, a sergeant was just fucking sitting on his fat ass doing nothing, like most of them do. Radios over to Walsh that there's somebody fucking wilding out on the freaking bars of the window, and so the CO inside of freaking Walsh freaking came in my room and basically got right in my freaking face, freaking chewed me out. He's like, "Do you understand? do you understand? Like, after you got done cussing me out about freaking being on the windows, I'm like, what did I do wrong? I got a freaking sergeant freaking yelling over the radio that there's a fucking lunatic freaking swinging from the bars on his freaking window. Like, I was doing curls. I wasn't freaking doing anything else. He's like, if you want to work out, you do it on the fucking floor. And he freaking leaves my room. Just, like, what the fuck? Like, he was, like, creeping in closely on me. Like, he wanted me to think that he was gonna fucking attack me. I knew he wasn't. I didn't freaking back up an inch. I let him know I wasn't afraid of him. But I actually did think that I was gonna he was gonna put hands on me, but he didn't, thankfully. That story comes later, after this facility. So, got through there the week, and so then me and Jack get released from the medical prison, and then we're able to go to the fucking the reception dorm for Mohawk. And this is the first time I've ever been in a medium. I would say that, I will say this, I would much rather do my time in a max than in a medium. Freaking, maxes, you got your own fucking cell, freaking, commissary's better, freaking, you're a lot safer in a max than you are in a medium, because medium is it's just a dorm, so freaking motherfuckers can jump you, just like that. I've seen it fucking happen. It ain't a fucking joke. Fucking so, Jack and I go to the reception dorm for I think maybe 2 days, and then I'm good. Then I remember during that time or maybe, I don't know. I think it was longer than 2 days. It might have been maybe 3, 4. But during that time, you start to get to know, some people, and then what happened was this kid named Vincent Hitchcock. I'm not changing his name because he ended up being a fucking real dirtbag. I didn't freaking find out about it until long after I got released, and when I looked up his number on the doc's website, freaking, he was in prison for raping a 6-year-old girl. Yeah, he's from Buffalo. Freaking, and he had a 2009 number. Well, for people who don't know, freaking, once you come into the prison system, you're given a number. That is basically what they identify you as. Mine was 22B2651. I'll never forget that number for as long as I live, unfortunately. But yeah, he had a 2009 number, and he didn't come off as like typical stereotypical, like child molester would look like. That is like, usually a white, overweight, males with glasses are typically the ones who are the chosen ones you can spot out just right away. 99 out of 100 of them, anyway. So anyway, freaking, he said he was in prison because him and his old man freaking stole like all this fucking scrap metal, like all these Cadillac converters, freaking like big spools of fucking copper wire, and got money for it. I mean, I did think that was a little strange at the time. That story, like, why would if he had an 09 number, freaking, why is he still here? You know, like, so, but yeah, freaking, yeah, Vincent Hitchcock, he's still in custody right now. Actually, last time I looked, he was in Clinton, and freaking, he must have been freaking moving quite often because, you know, when I first looked him up, you know, he was doing 19 years for rape. I looked him up about a month ago, and he was at Kaksaki, which is a max, and then he went to Clinton from there. So he's back in a max. So obviously he's probably getting, people are probably pulling his fucking paperwork and freaking making him fucking get the fuck out of there. You know, it happens. It happens. So anyway, when you get to a new spot, you know, you have, it's a long process. The first couple of days you're gonna be there, gonna be busy, and like you gotta go like meet your counselor, you gotta go to orientation, medical and mental health want to see you, and yeah, it's, you know, your first few days at a facility are gonna be pretty busy. So but anyways, I think I was only in the reception door maybe 3 days at the most, or maybe no, I think it was two full days. And then me and Jack ended up getting moved to another dorm. It was the 22 building, which had dorms A through F, I believe. A and B being downstairs, underground actually, and then D in the middle, C and D in the middle, and E and F on top. I did most of my time in A down below, but I did a week in D. And 22D at the time there was the ASAT dorm, and so, you know, the dorm was divided. Like, all the ASAT people were in the first half, and then the rest of the mix of people were in the other. But I remember earlier that day when I moved over to 22D, I saw a familiar face from Elmira, and this is another dirtbag, real fucking dirtbag. His name's Tyler Richards. He's between 400 or 500 pounds. You know, he's got glasses and freaking shit, like, you know, pretty stereotypical child molester. But, you know, I first saw him at Elmira in the insulin line, and I remember seeing him like maybe once or twice, and but then I never saw him again. And then, well, that I know why now, because freaking he obviously got fucking popped on, and freaking they probably kept him in his cell just like fucking the other Chester I told you about. And so freaking, yeah, so I'm like, you know, hey, I walked past him, and like I was going to see my counselor, and he was going to orientation. And so, you know, I passed him, you know, I'm like, oh, hey, there he is. And he's like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Freaking, you know, so we talked for a minute, and, you know, we both had to get going. And then later that day, right before dinner, me and Jack got moved into that dorm, into the 22D dorm. And this is where freaking Tyler Richards was for, you know, about the same amount of time. I was in there a week, and then and so I see freaking fat ass in the dorm, and I said what's up, you know, to him again, you know, and chatted for a minute. He asked me if I had like a pinch of tobacco that I could give him, and he was offered to trade me some rolling papers for it, which I needed some, so I'm like, yeah, and so something's freaking distracting and driving me nuts. So anyway, freaking, what happened was is that we started talking, and then I asked him where he was from, and he said Warrensburg, which is up near like Lake George, that area. And I actually played football in college with two dudes from Warrensburg, and I asked him if he knew them, and he said he knew one of them. And then I asked him, how much time you got, and he said 3.5. And then I asked him what he was in for, and he said, "Oh, just some bullshit. I don't want to talk about it." I'm like, "All right, nothing bad, right?" And he said, "No." And then I said, "All right, don't let me find out." And then what came out of his mouth, I will never, ever forget as long as I live. You want to know what he said? He said, "Please don't hurt me, man. I'm fragile." And then he fucking walked away. I was absolutely fucking dumbfounded. "Please don't hurt me, man. I'm fragile?" What the fuck? Those fucking little, and he was in there for freaking, his charge was second degree freaking second degree sexual course conduct against a child, which unfortunately it's only a Class D felony. What really pisses me off is that most crimes, sexual crimes against children, are lower class felonies, like third degree rape, attempted rape, freaking attempted sexual abuse, and incest are fucking Class E felonies. And then sexual abuse and second degree sexual conduct